Turner from CookingWithKimberly.com, and today I'm going to show you how to cook a gluten-free tiger nut bread and date stuffing. Today we are stuffing a whole turkey. We're cooking for the holidays. It's Easter, but you could go and do this for Thanksgiving or Christmas, or use it to stuff any other kind of poultry, or even, you know, vegetable. You could stuff peppers or anything that you feel you want to stuff. So we're getting started. Let me explain tiger nuts. If you've never heard of tiger nuts, they aren't even nuts at all. They're little tubers that grow under the ground. This is what they look like in their dried form. So this is whole with their skins on. They kind of look like little wrinkly chickpeas. And are they ever tasty? So it's nut-free. They're gluten-free, dairy-free, cholesterol-free. They're vegan, vegetarian, organic, non-GMO. They're great for weight loss because they have resistant starch in them, and they are perfect for the paleo diet, for the Whole30 diet, for a raw food diet, but today we're cooking them. So what I've done already, if you haven't seen my show for how to bake basic gluten-free tiger nut bread loaf, here is half of my bread that I have left from that recipe. Make sure you check it out. It'll be at the bottom of the screen. That's what I'm using for today's gluten-free stuffing. So you're gonna need a bread, and most breads have gluten, so try and bake this yourself. Use the leftovers from what's not fresh, I guess, freshest, or use your own gluten-free bread that you may find, and you can substitute that into this recipe. Now I'm going to use some beautiful Deglet Noor dates. You can also get these gorgeous seeds from me to grow beautiful plants on in my store at shop.cookingwithkimberly.com. Check that out. I have some really beautiful date palms growing from them. So I'm using Tiger Nuts products from TigerNutsUSA.com, and you can get their whole nuts, and you can also get the Tiger Nuts flour that I've used to make this amazing, fantastic bread. Okay, so let's get started. On my stovetop, I have a large frying pan just preheating with some oil. You can use tiger nut oil if you want to. You can use olive oil, whatever kind of oil you have on hand or you feel like using. I'm going to saute up some vegetables, but in the meantime, I want to cut this bread into cubes because I want it to dry out thoroughly. So we're going to put it in the oven on a dry cookie sheet. I have my oven preheated to 275 degrees Fahrenheit right now. And just cut them into cubes. There's really no rhyme or reason. I like to do them in a little bit smaller cubes because, you know, we're making stuffing. You don't want huge chunks, right? You want a piece of everything. A little bit of the dates, a little bit of the vegetable, and a little bit of the bread when you take a nice bite, right? So being in the turkey, it's going to soak up a lot of that delicious juice and some of the oils and fats from the turkey, and it's going to make everything so delicious. Okay, so this bread, look how beautifully it slices. It slices just like a dream, just like regular bread. And it's perfect to substitute in and make a gluten-free version of stuffing, because sometimes the holidays can be really fattening. Let's be real. Everything's full of all kinds of calories, and so if you have someone coming over for dinner, or you have someone in your family that has a problem, a celiac issue, then this is a really great way to go, and everybody doesn't feel like they're missing out on the best parts of the holidays, like stuffing. A lot of people have dietary restrictions these days, and they want to be included too. So it's a good way to make the holidays a little bit healthier, maybe a little bit less calories. So what you're going to do is you're just going to spread all of those bread cubes out all over evenly on your baking sheet. I'm also going to sprinkle it with some spices. A little bit of pepper, a little bit of poultry seasoning. Let's get those flavors going. Same things that you'd put on the outside of your turkey. A little bit of cayenne pepper, a little bit of paprika. This bread has a good opportunity to soak in a lot of those flavors and lock them in. If you wanted to use onion powder, garlic powder, feel free to do so. Whatever it is, your repertoire. A little bit of summer savory, winter savory, that would be nice in here as well. Okay, into the oven until these are nice and kind of toasted and crisp. So I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. Check on them though. Next, I have one nice stalk of celery. We'll slice that up. Not everyone in our household eats onion and garlic, but if your household does and you enjoy onion and garlic, please feel free to cut up at least half an onion, maybe a couple cloves of garlic, whatever is the norm for your household. Okay, So I'm just going to finely dice the celery, cut some long strands of it lengthwise, and then go ahead and chop that up fine. Okay, to my oil, I'm gonna add maybe a tablespoon of butter. Make sure this is really flavorful for us. Into the pan, I'm gonna go ahead and throw my celery, saute that on a low heat. We're just trying to sweat it out and get them a little bit softened. I'm also going to use my peeler and just peel strands of carrot to keep it nice and fine. You could finely mince it just the same as the celery, but this is a nice way to get the flavor of carrot without having huge chunks in there, if that makes sense. There's no need to even peel it if you don't want to. This is going in the stuffing. No one's gonna know that you used that fabulous skin. Just make sure that it's nice and clean. Has tons of nutrients. Wasting our vegetable skins is a terrible waste. I'm gonna use at least half of a large carrot. Plus this will ensure that everything cooks really quickly and evenly. There you go, into the pan. If you want to go a little bit southern, add some green pepper or some other kind of bell pepper. Let's season it up. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Same things we just used. Poultry seasoning, cayenne, some paprika, and anything else that you desire. Fabulous. The kitchen already smells amazing. So while you're waiting for your bread, your vegetables can soften up. All right, so now I'm gonna get my dates prepared. I've got these gorgeous, these are the creme de la creme of dates. These are called deglet noors, and they're from Tunisia. So these are deglet noors, and these are the creme de la creme of dates. They come from Tunisia, and they have a gorgeous flavor. So what you have to do, if they're not already pitted, you need to slice the pit out, okay? Use just the outside. You don't wanna chomp on those hard bits. So I've used about a dozen deglet noor dates. You could use whatever kind of dates you prefer. And I'm just going to chop them into small pieces, the same way I did my celery, just a nice mince. You don't want huge chunks, right? So I am gonna cut some bell pepper just because I want to, and it smells good and I have it on hand. So I'm just gonna finely dice, let that go with my carrot and my celery in the meantime. I've stirred my bread cubes in the oven to make sure that everything's getting dried out evenly. And we're about halfway there, I'd say. I'm also gonna add maybe a half a teaspoon or a quarter teaspoon of smoked paprika. That gives a beautiful flavor and a beautiful fragrance. And just because it's bread stuffing doesn't mean you can't add meat. You can add bacon, you can add little bits of ham or little bits of the turkey neck if you want to. I have a little bit of sausage left over from last night's meal. So I'm just gonna cut that into tiny cubes, throw that into my pan with my veggies right now. My bread is nearly there. I'm letting it go another 5 minutes or so. I just wanna make sure it's nice and dried. Whatever your heritage, everyone has their own variety of sausage that they love and they make traditionally. You know, chorizo would be delicious, kielbasa would be delicious, bratwurst would be nice. Whatever you have on hand, whatever you guys like. Just a little bit. I'm turning off my vegetables. They look like they're nice and soft. My bread is nice and toasted. And we're gonna just let that cool. I'm gonna put it into a bowl in a second and start combining all the ingredients. Okay, into a large mixing bowl. Essentially, these are croutons at this point. You wanna get rid of any of the moisture because you're gonna refill that moisture with tasty juices from the turkey. So you need space. You don't want it just to be a soggy mess with all kinds of wet bits, right? So you want to take that moisture out so that you can replace it. Here's my veggies. They look nice and softened and tasty. Carrots and celery and green peppers, a little bit of sausage, all those beautiful spices, my dates that are finely chopped, and I'm gonna add some fresh parsley, freshly chopped. I don't think that needs to be cooked. I like to keep it as fresh as possible. It's gonna have tons of time to cook in the oven, so just a nice mince. If you have fresh herbs from your garden you'd prefer to use, feel free. All right, and that goes, I'd say that's maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons worth. You need this to cool off just a little bit before you can handle it. You don't want to burn your hands, okay? Give it a couple minutes. All right, so I'm just stirring this up. Make sure everything's evenly combined. And I do want to moisten this slightly, okay? So I suggest adding into it some flavor, right? So you want to use chicken broth or beef broth, bone broth, whatever kind of broth you have on hand. just a little bit at a time, just to barely moisten it, marry everything together. Again, you don't want it to be a sopping mess because you're gonna get a lot of extra juice from your bird. I'd say that's probably no more than half a cup. Now, I'm using dates today, but feel free to use any kind of dried fruit or fresh fruit for that matter. So this is ready for stuffing my bird. Look at all those beautiful flavors in there. Awesome. You'll see me done. Let's get our oven preheated before I start stuffing. I'm going to preheat to 425 degrees. All right, I'm also going to season inside the cavity before I stuff. All the same stuff. Okay, so then proceed to stuff your bird. I start with the back cavity first, and if I have any extra stuffing, then I will try and stuff the neck cavity as well, if I have to. Now with this stuffing, you don't have to stuff a bird with it. You could actually just cook this separately in the oven if you wanted to and not do the whole stuffing of the bird. Some people don't like that, don't like to cook it that way, and that's totally fine. Just put it in a casserole dish, make sure it's moist enough. If you need a little bit extra broth, then add it slowly but surely, and do a taste test before you serve. That's it. This is a gorgeous stuffing. I made just enough stuffing. So in order to hold all this stuffing in, this is just like an open cavity, you want it to stay there, right? So what I like to do is I like to use a large fruit, usually an apple or an orange. You could even use a potato if you wanted to. I've used a grapefruit before. Whatever you have on hand that makes sense, that can stuff that cavity. So make sure you core it, wash it and core it. This is a smaller apple, so what I'll probably do is use both halves. And then the apple is also edible and really delicious when you're done. So just go ahead and push that in and make sure it stays there. And I'm gonna use the other half. Now sometimes you have a big enough piece of turkey skin, the flap at the back, that you can overlap and skewer, and that's what I'm going to do next. So you can either use a small skewer or a larger skewer and just weave that through, or if you have one big fruit or vegetable, you can just stick it right into the stuffing straight through. So what I'm going to do is a little bit of both here. I'm going to weave my way through the skin, through the apple, back out on the other side, and through that skin to secure it on the other side. Basically do what you gotta do to keep that thing shut. There we go. And into the roaster it goes. So in the oven it goes. So our gorgeous turkey's been resting. I'm going to remove it from the roasting pan so I can use the drippings for gravy, okay? So be very gentle and just transfer her. I'm gonna put her on a cookie sheet. It makes it easier for me to access and to cut the meat, get things organized. There you go. All right, it's time to take the stuffing out of the bird before we carve this gorgeous turkey. Take your skewer out, remove those beautiful apples that are cooked. I like to just put them on the side because those are gonna get eaten too. That's usually some of my favorite eats from the holidays is the vegetable or the fruit that I've used to keep the stuffing in. All right, so let's scoop this stuffing out into a beautiful serving platter. It's beautifully moist. It smells like heaven in there. All those veggies and the dates. What a lovely color. It's soaked up all those gorgeous juices from your turkey. The stuffing is usually one of the first things to run out and leftovers. Everyone goes after the stuffing. Mom even makes stuffing sandwiches the next day.
Oh, there's nothing like rye bread with stuffings. Oh, Grandma Turner used to make that all the time. I loved it.
Bread sandwiches, isn't that interesting?
Sandwiches.
Bread on bread on bread.
I know, it was so good.
Well, if you have it nice and compacted, you could even slice it.
Yes, well, that's exactly what Grandma Turner did. She would mush it together and make like a little loaf and then slice it.
There you go. Industrious. Just keep scooping until there's no more to come out. We have stuffing for days here. Look at that beautiful bread. You can see that it's not totally soggy. It is still light and fluffy, but it's perfectly moist. But these cubes of bread have really retained their integrity, and that's awesome. So it doesn't just look like mush, right? All those colors, you can see the colors from the carrots and the peppers and the celery. It's gonna be great with our gravy. Let's fluff that up. Ready for the table. So there you go, this gorgeous gluten-free tiger nuts bread and date stuffing with veggies too. It is gorgeous. Here's our beautiful apples. They're gonna be so tasty too. All right, I'm gonna do a quick taste test for you. Show you what we've got going on here. You can see these beautiful pieces of carrot and the pepper and the celery. You can see the lovely pieces of bread still intact, okay? Mm-mm. Mmm. Mmm. Mm-mm-mm. Now that has soaked up the juices of the turkey. Very flavorful, very savory, nice and spicy. We added those spices, right? The cayenne. I was a little heavy-handed, but I'm not mad because I love spicy things. That is really delicious. It's gonna be great with the apple in there as well. Mmm, that's a good stuffing. Mom, would you like to try some?
Yes, I'd love to.
What do you think, Mom?
This is absolutely fantastic. I love that little bit of tiger nut flavor in there.
Mm-hmm.
That little sweetness in there. Oh, so good.
And have you ever had gluten-free stuffing before?
Never.
Ah.
But it's very, very amazingly good.
And you wouldn't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, everyone can be involved. So someone who does have celiac problems can enjoy some bread stuffing. I mean, really, it's delicious. All right, you're gonna love this. That little bit of sweetness, I just got a little sweetness from the date as well. It's just the right amount of sweetness in there. It's lovely. Now you could have added any kind of other fruits. You could have added apple to this, etc., etc. Make sure you check out Tiger Nuts USA for their products because they are wonderful. Check out my bread recipe because that's what made this all possible today. This awesome bread that I baked up, okay? You're gonna love this. Okay? Easy to make, especially if you have leftover bread that you baked up, okay? You're gonna love it. That's it. Follow me on Twitter at CookingWithKim, with a capital E. Like the fan page at facebook.com/CookingWithKimberly. My shows are on iFood TV at my.fossum.tv/CookingWithKimberly, youtube.com/CookingWithKimberly. You can find my channel on Roku Cooking with Kimberly, and I'm also syndicated on Apple TV and Amazon and a few other places. Come to my website at CookingWithKimberly.com and subscribe. Interact with us and let us know what's going on in your culinary world, all right? Be a champion in your kitchen and eat deliciously. Bye!